What it do? It's your favorite Texas boy, and we back with another video. If you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, comment. Today we're going to be talking about something I think is a very important topic, and it kind of doesn't have much to do with Puerto Rico, but it is a segue into my next video, which we'll talk about later. So I just want to get into that now. So again, thank you for all my subscribers who have been here with me so far. So today I want to talk about something that happened in the States a few days back. Rest in peace, Trey Reed. This is a young man who was 20 years old, attending a PWI. If you don't know what that is, that's a predominantly white university called Delta State University. And he was found hung in front of a building. I'm sure they say has some type of representation. But he was hung from a tree in front of a building with one of his arms broken, one of his legs broken. And you know, the conversation is that it's just sad to see that this is still going on today in the States, in the United States specifically. We know the world has a lot of different traumas and wars and different types of battles that we're fighting. But this particular battle is specific to me as an African American, considered, what you would consider, I guess. Just to know that people are still being unalived for the color of their skin, or to make a point. Now, I don't know if this is some type of retaliation for Charlie Kirk, which makes no sense anyway, because that shooter was of their fabric, of their belief system, of their religious system, of their political system. So revenge on us for that would be stupid if that was in the name, what it was in the name of. Let me straighten up my camera here. That would just be stupid if that's what it was in the name of. But yeah, I just find it pretty sickening that that is still happening. It's hard to imagine that, you know, you get yourself backed into a situation. You get yourself backed into a situation that you have no control over simply because of the color of your skin. And that is a tough thing to digest, right? You know, of course, there's still investigations going on. There's still, you know, whatever needs to be happening going on, but it's also being overshadowed too by the Charlie Kirk situation. So it's all just bad, right? But again, if you know the history of the United States, if you know the history truly of North America in general, these things don't surprise you. They just upset you. You know what I'm saying? They just make you feel like, you know, I had this conversation with my grandmother one day, right? And I was having this conversation with her, and it hurt for me to tell it to her like this. But now that we have access to information, access to the internet, access to stats, access to data, access to, you know, information that was supposed to be sealed, and now we're starting to be able to see for ourselves why certain things happen, why certain things are the way they are. And I told my grandmother, I was like, Grandma, they didn't just wake up one day and start liking black people and giving us rights. And if once you start doing the research, unfortunately, in my opinion, all of the civil rights that they fought for and the civil rights movements that they feel that were progression, in my opinion, were only a stepping stone for them to get what they wanted on the back end. So let me say like this. If they could have did what they wanted to do without giving us those certain rights, they would have. But in order for them to complete the bigger picture, they had to give us those rights or their plan wouldn't work. So they didn't wake up one morning and say, hey, we like y'all now. We was wrong. Let's just give y'all what y'all want. That ain't what happened. No. What happened was they was like, we want to do this for our people here. But in order for us to do this, we got to give them this little bit. But this little bit to them will feel like a major win and a major gain. But all it is just to help us get to the back end that we want, and they win in the end. And that's an unfortunate thing to hear, because you don't want to hear that we was really just being given puppetry. You were being a puppet, like it wasn't sincere. It would make you feel like all the fights were for nothing, and I understand that, but it still looks now that all the fights were for nothing. We still look like we only get what's given to us as long as it's benefiting that higher power in the back end. So I hate that this Trey Reed situation is still happening, but we have so many situations in the United States that are just like this. And then people wonder why people are starting to move away, which is a segue into my next video. I've been asked this so many times. So what is the difference between being a black man in America and being a black man living in Puerto Rico or living in another country in general? And I'm going to deep dive into that in my next video. And talk about the differences that I've noticed and I've experienced since I've been here. You know, things that I deal with up there that I don't deal with down here. Things that I deal with down here that I don't deal with up there. All types of stuff. So that'll be my next video. But I wanted to talk about this video. Rest in peace, Trey Reed. Condolences to the family. Prayers out to anybody involved with his family. I'm sure he was a son, a cousin, possibly a brother, potentially an athlete, potentially had a bright future, and it was taken from him for who knows what right now. But we know once that noose is involved, that noose is a different type of murder. That has one distinct lane that falls in. That falls into murder. That falls into racism, racial murder. Murder simply because of the color of your skin. Especially in America, there's no other connotation that can fall behind that. And so just seeing that it's being overshadowed by an energy who pushed this. Charlie Kirk, there was an energy with him that pushed negativity towards black folks. So to see that particular person being the one to overshadow this story, that's disheartening as well. Now, let me say this. I'm not an advocate for Charlie Kirk being shot. I'm not an advocate for anybody being assassinated for their opinions. That is not what I advocate. That is not what I'm for. Even though Charlie Kirk had opinions that I just completely disagree with, I don't think that you should be shot in the neck with a sniper gun from 200, 300 yards away just because of that. That's not my MO. But he did push a lot of rhetoric that wasn't too in the best light of my people, in the best interest of my people. So that was, you know, it's just kind of disheartening to see that is being overshadowed by that. But we need change somehow, guys, and it's hard to see it up there, because those things up there, like Trey Reed, they don't even, you know, that stuff, I don't know, it's hard to have a racial crimes down here, unless it's reversed, I guess you could say. The crimes against black skin, it's kind of hard to do that down here because everybody got black skin. Everybody's Puerto Rican. So it's like you're attacking your own kind almost. You almost can't have you almost can't have racial attacks because you're attacking your own kind, basically. Everybody down here Puerto Rican for the most part. And the people that did move down here from the States, they be ducked off somewhere. They not really being bothered by the people on the island. So it's just one of those things that's disheartening, man. And so, you know, again, I feel completely blessed that I'm able to, you know, this is my view every day if I want to. I can come out, sit on the balcony, and enjoy peace. You know what I'm saying? And enjoy not having to deal with these tragic stories that are coming from a place of who knows what. Down here, you know, in this metro area, this tourism area, the place where I be at, it's peaceful. There is no violence. There is no stabbings and shootings and people dying every week. It's really a relaxed place around here. Now, I'm not saying crime doesn't happen. That happens everywhere. But, you know, the things that we worry about in the States as regular 9-to-5 men, regular 9-to-5 people, that doesn't really affect us up here. That's not really an effect we deal with. So we just kind of, you know, enjoy our space, man, and enjoy our peace of mind. But I'm gonna start exploring and talking about more things that are happening in the States that we don't deal with down here, so you can understand the difference and understand why people are making these moves. All right, so rest in peace, Trey Reed. It sucks that this has happened. Praying for the family and the friends, praying for anybody involved, because that is an unfortunate situation, man. And I feel, it makes me feel terrible and enraged too that things still like happen. I'm happy I was able to get away from it. I was happy I was able to move far away from it, but it still sucks because all my family is still up there. My children are still up there. You know, good friends and family of mine still up there. So I just got to look at it like that, man. And hope things get better soon. I'm gonna see you next video, and we're gonna talk about those differences between being a black in the States and a black man in Puerto Rico. All right, talk to y'all soon. Peace.